Hello there, and welcome to Talking Nerdy, the show where we take various story arcs and events from current comics and we cover them. I'm your host, Obi-Wan Jabroni. Now, today's story. We will be covering Gunslinger Spawn number 1 through 4, written by Todd McFarlane, with art by Brett Booth, and colors by Andrew Ballhaus. The man known as Gunslinger Spawn has been stranded in the present day and is looking for a way home to finish some unsettled business with those that left him for dead. Unfortunately, his arrival in the present did not go unnoticed. So, with that, let's start talking nerdy. First up, we have Gunslinger number 1. We open in a small town in Nevada. Gunslinger rolls into town when his motorcycle runs out of gas. Confused on why his bike stopped, he pushes it into an abandoned warehouse at the edge of town. Later that night, a man stumbles into the warehouse drunk from a night of partying with his friends. He sees the motorcycle, and as he kneels to look at it, Gunslinger comes from the shadows and points a gun at the man. He demands to know his name and that if he knew what was wrong with his bike. The man says his name is Taylor Bartlett, and he hesitantly starts to inspect the bike for Gunslinger. After a moment, Taylor laughs and tells him it's out of gas. Gunslinger grabs him and asks him what gas is. Some time passes, and Taylor has explained all about gas and gas stations, and Gunslinger asks if he knows where Twin Buttes is. Taylor laughs again and says of course he has, it's where we are now. When out of nowhere, an angel swoops in and tackles Gunslinger to the ground. Gunslinger recovers and starts to shoot the angel, but it deflects his bullets as it charges again. Gunslinger rolls away just in time and fires another shot, hitting the angel in the forehead and killing it. He turns and tells Taylor, let's get out, go get that gas and get you home. Later on, Gunslinger and Taylor pull up to Taylor's house, and Taylor goes in and finds his dad standing with a group of angels. His dad turns and says, you can't be here, you can't see this. And the angels charge at Taylor and fly him outside screaming. Gunslinger sees them and charges in to save Taylor, ending our first issue. Taking us to Gunslinger Spawn number 2. We open in Twin Buttes. Gunslinger dives into the fray, killing 2 angels with knives to the skull, and he throws more blades, taking out 3 more angels as well. He continues to pound and kill angels until they start to retreat, and Gunslinger grabs a still living angel and demands to know how and why they are here. But before he can answer, Taylor's dad shoots Gunslinger in the back and the angel in the head. Gunslinger stumbles and turns to Taylor's dad and says, tell him, Bartlett. Tell him what you really are, what your family's always been, corrupting and poisoning minds of others till they can't think straight. Tell him what you did to my sister. And Taylor gets pissed and puts a gun to his dad's head and demands to know if it's true. Gunslinger tells him to kill him now, and Taylor says he can't and lowers his gun. And as soon as he does, Gunslinger throws a knife into Taylor's dad's head and walks away, leaving Taylor crying and holding his dad's dead body. And that ends this issue. Taking us to Gunslinger Spawn number 3. We open in an unknown location, and we see the Angel faction leader named Theus sitting in front of a mixed group, and he says, we hoped we'd be the first to get to Gunslinger before Calixto. Obviously, that didn't happen. So we've shifted plans. Your direct presence won't be needed for now. You'll be assigned instead to oversee the whereabouts of the other Hellspawn that came through the voids at the same time as the Gunslinger. It's imperative we know if any of them have made contact with each other. And to be clear, we're focused strictly on those spawns that came through the void with Gunslinger. Simmons, the She Spawn, and Jim Downing, they were here already. It's the others we're targeting for now. Your job is to report on their activities. Gunslinger is ours. That's why Dakota has been brought in. She and her pets specialize in these types of hellspawn. And the bounty hunter Dakota enters the room. Now, back in Twin Buttes, Gunslinger tells Taylor that they need to leave. More angels will come looking for them. And they go to a nearby gas station and load a duffel bag full of supplies. Gunslinger studies a map and says they need to pick up something nearby. And they go get on the bike and ride out to the woods and start to dig a hole. They eventually find a crate filled with gold, guns, and ammo, and Gunslinger loads it onto his bike and gives Taylor a handful of gold, telling him to be safe and that he can call him Javi. Taylor thanks him for saving his life, and they shake hands and part ways. A few days later, Gunslinger is posted up in the middle of nowhere, waiting on the Angels to attack again. After days of waiting, a black SUV pulls up with a group of armed men who jump out. They surround Gunslinger, and the hunter Dakota steps out of the car, and she says, boys, honestly, do you ever turn it off? I'll get straight to the point. We're making plans, and from what I'm told, you could be very useful towards some of those. Problem is, I've seen plenty of you heroes that didn't live up to their hype. Are you the real deal? And Gunslinger just stands there staring without saying a word. The strong, silent type, are you? I like that in a man. And Gunslinger moves quickly and takes out all of the guards before they can even fire a shot. Dakota laughs and opens her arms, and two creatures jump out of her coat and grow into feathered velociraptors. They charge at Gunslinger as he starts to unload into them with no effect. One tackles him to the ground, and as he throws it off, another bites a chunk out of his neck. He tosses it at the other one and throws dynamites at them. It blows up, throwing Gunslinger backwards as he lands, and he hears a collection of the same laughs behind him. He raises up to see an army of clowns and a violator, and the lead clown says, "He's mine now." And that ends this issue. Taking us to our final issue, Gunslinger Spawn number 4. We open in the middle of nowhere, and Gunslinger stands before an army of clowns and a violator, and the lead clown says to him, "Get on your feet, cowboy. I like looking at a man in the eyes when I'm talking, 'cause I'm about to make you an offer that'll get you everything you want. And whether you like it or not, you're about to become partners with the clown. You know how many men I have seen walk away from their better interests, but you strike me as being smarter than that. You want the same thing every hellspawn wants to return home, and I can help with that." Dakota cuts him off and says, "You sent me here to deal with him." And the clown grabs her and tosses her to the side, saying, "I thought you were ready, and I was wrong. Now get out of here or die." She sulks away, pissed about the failed job. One of the smaller clowns has Gunslinger's hat, and Gunslinger grabs it and throws the clown to the side. He charges at Violator, stabbing him in the side, and Violator grabs him and slams him to the ground, pinning him down. The army of clowns swarm Gunslinger and start to beat and bite on him until he passes out. Passes out. Gunslinger wakes up later and is hanging from a tree. The lead clown approaches him again and says, "Oh, good, you're awake. I want to commend you on your cute trick, hiding weapons in your hat. I can't pry them out. It appears they were clever enough to fuse them in your symbiote, so that the only one that can remove them is you. Just like your bullet belts, they won't budge either. So you may as well look good while you're hanging there. Don't look so surprised. You're not the only one with necro powers. And you know who gave you those powers? Gave those powers to me? Spawn. He thought he'd finally figured a way to get rid of me, but guess what? The opposite happened. As I was being shot into the time ripped his explosion created, everyone else was heading the other direction, including you. And I made sure to scrape a little power off anyone that passed by. Do you know how much power that is when combined? Enough to split myself into two personas. But you, Gunslinger, may actually be the weakest Hellspawn ever. But given your acquired powers illegally, that shouldn't come as any shock to us. No more having to choose attacking or as clown or violator. From now on, it's clown and the violator. Your best chance of survival is not even to be here. Not in this time frame. You can't do that without me, and I can't get what I want without you. Because the rip in time is only going one direction, bringing people here. No one is able to go the other way because the dead zones are locked. The only one with the key is Spawn. And your mortal enemy, Calistro, he wants that key too. So ask yourself, do you think for 1 second that if Cog gets his hands on it first, he'll offer you the same deal I am? He'd sooner cut his own throat. You'll never get back home or see anyone you have ever cared for. Spawn can't do it, and Cog or anyone else doesn't give a shit about you or your wants. I don't care about it either, or even if you really have one reason to go back, I'm your best hope. Like it or not, we're stuck with each other. So, Hellspawn, what's it gonna be? Surely someone wishes you were back. Otherwise, you just die slowly on that branch. And Clown shoots the rope and drops Gunslinger to the ground and says, though I prefer you didn't. I'd like another sharpshooter at my side. Besides, your job is easy. Get close to Spawn, and when the time comes, you stab him in the back. And that ends our story. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Join us next week as we cover Marauders number 26 and 27 and Annual number 1. Thanks for watching. As always, remember to like, subscribe, and share our video to help spread our brand through the world. Also, leave a comment down below. Feedback is always welcome. Now, you can also find us on the Jabroni Nerd Facebook page. So, with that, keep talking nerdy.